Hey, we're here this time. I just had a false start where the phone had decided it was on its side. I still haven't quite worked out why it does that. You've just got to make sure you turn your phone at the right time or it gets all upset. I've only just got to my computer. I got up and did my practice this morning and then thought, I'll just have a little lie down because I'm feeling a bit tired. Next thing you know, Marie was saying, do you have your thing at 9? And I said, yeah. She said, oh, well, it's soon. And I went, oh, yeah, okay. I looked at it was 8:50, 8:58. Anyway, so I've managed to get myself here not too far off the mark. Well, it's 9:04, but anyway. So good morning, my friends. It is the 6th of May. It is 2020 still. Here we are. It's Chat with Matt. I didn't put a title on this, but it is Chat with Matt. I do believe I'm in the right group, and I am here to answer questions. And if I remember correctly, I saw something before I went to bed late last night. There's all sorts of things open at the moment here on my computer screen. And there's 39 emails unread and everything else. Hey, good morning, Gary. But that's what happens when I come to my computer late and nothing's organised. But let us get to the right group here. No, that's the wrong group after looking at it. Let me get to the right group here. Bright light. I'm going to change the name of the group, by the way. Morena sister. I can't even read your name this morning, sorry. Ancila, is that right? Oh, it's almost like I need my other glasses on. My eyes haven't woken up. Nothing's good at the moment. Here we are. That's me. Ancila. It's probably Ancila, not Ancila. I'm dyslexic and I'm hopeless with names, so I apologise. Anywho's, let me get to where the notification was. Here we go. Oh my goodness, there's 4 notifications. Oh no, there's 3 because Kate's put in twice. Let's start here, and then if you come to this and you have any questions, comments, requests from us, then just pipe up. Hopefully I'll get it either seeing it here or seeing it here once I've read these questions and get back to my other screen. I haven't got any water or anything to drink with me, but anyway. Yeah, the Spanish flu, that's it's very topical at the moment, that bit of information, how true it is and how much it's been spun. Not sure. I've also seen a few things on that. Interesting. Anywho, so anyway, Kate asked, hey there, I was listening to an old meditation of yours earlier and you were talking about being happy without needing external circumstances and saying we can be happy even in the pain of not having what we want. I get that on one level, but also, see more, but also could you talk to that a bit more? I mean, it sounds like we all could benefit from learning how to be masochists. I mean that genuinely, but I have some resistance to that. Okay, so it doesn't mean to be a masochist, because a masochist is actually someone who enjoys pain. The point here, and basically actively seeks out pain for the sake of the intense sensation. There's actually an endorphin rush that comes with pain, right? That's why people like to eat chilies, right? Some people get addicted to chilies because it burns your mouth to a point, it creates pain to a point that your body copes with that pain by releasing endorphins. A masochist does something similar and actually gets a high from experiencing pain. Okay, so we're not talking about that. There's nothing quote unquote wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with anything. But it's just important to know why things work the way they work. Well, it's not important. It can benefit you. It can be empowering to know why things are the way they are to a certain degree, provided you're mature enough to deal with it, which is I've been dancing with all week as I've been recording MP3s for my upcoming new package that I'm delivering to Wisdom of the Ancients with Ian in a couple of weeks. around standing as a sovereign being and that process of awakening to the awareness, just like Gary's pointed out about the Spanish flu and all sorts of different conspiracies and what's driving it all and what's behind it all. Awakening, becoming woke, as the new terminology is, becoming woke to the external world and still being able to maintain your empowered attitude towards it, still not losing yourself to that, still not losing your peace, getting overly angry, frustrated, or scared when you awaken to what is actually going on around us and understanding that actually what's going on around us is always coming through our filters. So it's never reality, it's always perception. It's always perception. Everything is perception. Everything. And of course there's different levels of that. So getting back to your question, speak to a little bit more about how we can stay happy even if we have the pain of what we don't want. So understanding the pain of what we don't want, hey Sister Donna, is disappointment, and it's measuring ourselves against expectations, right? Because when we want something, we think we need it to be happy. That's basically what wanting means. Wanting means lack. If you go back pre-World War II, want was basically just meant lack. That's what it meant. So if you're wanting something, you're basically saying, I don't have that. I'm lacking that. So interestingly, that they kind of morphed it to keep people disempowered with desiring things, to start saying, I'm wanting that, which is basically reinforcing, repeating a mantra, I don't have that, I don't have that, I don't have that. You're putting it out to the universe that you don't have it. And this is perception that I need it in order to be happy, in order to be complete, in order to be successful, which keeps us disempowered and in this cycle where we can't be happy because we're wanting, right? So the point is to choose to be happy despite what your external circumstances are, because when you choose to be happy, your fields naturally expand and you can allow things to evolve and you can allow things to arrive and you can allow yourself to receive things. The problem is when you're in wanting, you contract your energetic fields because you're basically in the stress of protection because you don't have what you need. And when you're in that, you can't actually receive much. So you basically hold yourself out of having what you desire because you want it. Gary, I find it interesting the number of people experiencing lower back pain. Current circumstances certainly provoke feeling, I'm pretty sure you're going to say unsupported. Oh my goodness. Provoke feelings of being undermined, unsupported, walking on thin ice. I wonder if there's a kind of mass response physically as well as the cathartic influence of this shutdown, the fear of the unknown, financial uncertainty, etc., etc. I think you're spot on there, Gary. I think that's very, very true. I think understanding that the back pain that many, many people are feeling right now, also a lot of people have headaches right now. A lot of people can't cope with the amount of mental stress in this anxiety. So we're seeing in our yoga community, a lot of people saying, hey, I've got headaches. I know Maria and I have both had headaches from time to time as well. This pressure of the collective mentally right now, and the burden that we're carrying on our shoulders of the uncertainty and feeling, some of us feeling that we do owe it to society to step up and help them right now, which can feel quite burdensome as well as for us empaths, when so many people are feeling so uncertain and scared of where the future's going. So it's very, very true. And it's not a wrongness, that's the point. So the back pain's not the problem, right? The headaches are not the problem. The back pain and the headaches will go away when we relax into peace, right? Into happiness, into acceptance of the situation, and understanding that the situation is unfolding for our highest and best good, even though there's all sorts of dark influences at play. That is for sure. And the point is, we don't need to figure out all of those dark influences. We don't need to figure out their next chess move so that we can counteract it. We just need to stay in our heart and keep radiating the light that we are, the love that we are choosing for our society, and understand that will have a massive influence, especially when we're very, very confident in it. Hey, Sister Leslie. Hey, Sister Kay. So that's a big issue that a lot of people are falling into, is this need to mentalize and work out and get down the rabbit hole with the conspiracy theories. Hey, Sister Jen Burns, down the rabbit hole trying to figure out what is happening so that we can make good decisions about moving forward. And really, I found the best way to move forward is to just connect with who you are and to align with what you desire. Gary wrote, emotionally, I find a surge of past memories coming up from childhood, a kind of yearning for that safe state of innocence, perhaps in response to current levels of uncertainty. True. So yes, that's on one level. And secondly, a lot of those childhood memories are also just coming up to clear the way, to clear the path. I think there's a lot of history clearing going on, and some of that will be uncomfortable memories from childhood, and some of them will be pseudo-comfortable memories from childhood. A lot of what you're probably clearing is coping mechanisms that you have from childhood, and the way that you've found as an innocent child an external form of acceptance and good enough in those times when you did. I know you've had a hard childhood, Gary, so you've probably got some memories of that you've clung to of when you were actually received as a child, and those were very important to you. And now you're basically letting go of that's the only way that you get that level of comfort and support and receivingness, which is not really a word. I was almost going to say receivership, which a lot of people are facing right now as well. But, to actually feel that we're being received as we are without needing to morph ourselves into something that we perceive they want, they being whichever's external authority we're trying to please, whether it's our parents, our spouse, or our society boss, whatever, in some way, our church, even God, right, can be that external authority for a lot of people, that they feel they keep morphing themselves into something so that they can be received by it. Where are all the threes coming from? Ancilla? Is it Ancilla or Ancilla? It's almost like Spirit is making us stay home to do some inner homework. Yes, so that's exactly right. So it's interesting, right? We've got this conspiracy theory that staying home and shutting down the economy is so that the dark forces can rule over us. But in some ways, and that might be true, right? That might be an agenda that's involved in this, right? To, create the conditions where it's easier to bring in martial law and more control over us. But in some ways, we can see how it's very easily backfiring as people who are staying home are doing the inner work and arising, going through this purification process so they can arise in their true power, in their sovereign beingness, through the process of having spent time at home and going within. So nothing is very straightforward at the moment. We can see how there's multiple realities running in the same situations, and it's just a matter of which one you choose to tune into as to which one will have more influence in your life. Hey, Sister Luna. So the point is not to get contracted. And we come back to Kate's question, how can you be happy even in the pain of not having what you want? How can you be happy despite or not needing external circumstances? It's because you change your perspective of what the external circumstances are, right? Is you get out of the idea, it's okay, I understand. As the kitten walked on the keyboard, which produced all the threes, not a numerological bombardment of my or support. Yeah, exactly, Gary. Everything is happening in accordance with divine perfect plan. And there's room in divine perfect plan for all sorts of dark agendas to be playing out as well, because that is part of the plan, and we get to see it and accept it and work with it all, So as Kate was, asking, the need for external circumstances in order to be happy, it's a matter of just changing our perspective of the external circumstances, because external circumstances are not absolute. They are all coming through our perception. So when we choose to change our perception of the external circumstances, are we in lockdowns because we're being basically punished and the dark forces are taking over the planet? Or are we in lockdown to give us space to reconnect with who we truly are, so that we can emerge out of this cocoon, out of our chrysalis, as the butterfly, right? As the transformed being, as someone who is more in alignment with our quote unquote truth, with our light, our higher self. And there's no finish with how aligned we can be to our higher self, because our higher self, just like God's source universe, is continually expanding with more and more wisdom, right? As everyone has more and more experiences, different experiences. So that's the point, Kate. We don't need to be a masochist. We don't need to start enjoying the pain in order to be happy. We just need to learn that choosing happiness is a matter of choosing to get out of the current perspective we have of our external circumstances, to get out of thinking we need to change the external world by wanting stuff in order to then have the conditions that are ripe for happiness. We can choose to have happiness now and then allow the external circumstances to morph to better reflect the happiness that we're choosing. Our choosing comes first, the external world comes second. Our perspective is, I am happy, I'm choosing to be happy. We now start seeing the world through happy filters, and then it reinforces our happiness, as opposed to, this is hard, I want to be happy, I need to change the world in order to be happy. It's an uphill battle. That is an uphill battle. Leslie, I was very calm until I started applying for unemployment. It was a very stressful process, and then getting rejected explicitly, maybe. Come on, Seymour. I need to change to the other thing, but I haven't finished reading my questions here. Maybe I can do that as well. Maybe I can just scroll several things up. Here we go. Inexplicitly, I take responsibility for choosing this stress, but part of the stress could be mass consciousness. Yes, part of the stress is mass consciousness, Leslie. Also, part of the stress is your own response to authority and the power that authority has had over us and over our financial situation, and thus over our ability to survive in past lifetimes as well as this lifetime. So this idea that you are beholden to an external power source giving you money so that you can survive, right? So you're now in a very quote-unquote disempowered space, and the way that, especially that it's set up, is inherently stressful, because you're not in charge of whether you survive right now. You're basically pleading, right, to have money in order to get what you need. And that is inherently, stress-inducing. And unfortunately, there's history as well. History for society and history for you personally. And so that's coming up to be cleared. So your job is to accept that the process that's currently unfolding with the inexplicable rejection is giving you the opportunity to clear some energy away. And it's not final. It's not final, right? Allow yourself to go through this process so that you can be in a space now to step forward again and to get what you require, right? So don't give up, but at the same time, don't fight. There's a difference. I'm getting flooded with questions, but I'm not unhappy about that. But I apologize if I missed something. I am going to go back and open this up and try and get to what I've missed. And I know there's some questions written in ahead of time, which I need to get to as well. So, Jen, I think also realizing why we are wanting to be happy, is it to avoid going deeper into discomfort? I've been playing with the idea of not being so attached to being happy. Well, and of course there is, with every word there's a connotation. So a lot of people conceive that happy is kind of like happy, joy, nothing matters. I'm just in party mode. That's not happy. For me, happiness is contentment. Happiness is the absence of desire to be happy, right? The desire to have things that you need to be happy, right? When you've got what you need to be happy, you are happy. So, and that does not mean bypassing the discomfort of what you are releasing, right? Because if you are comfortable in the discomfort of what you are releasing, right? If you've got a mature attitude to the process of, wow, I'm feeling a lot of discomfort as all this comes up to release, you don't need to bypass that with, oh, I'm happy, joy. It's like, I'm happy in that, right? So it's a matter of how we use the words, unfortunately. And the way that I use the word happy is more in alignment with contentment than party, joy, happiness. And I've had to explain that a few times, and I'll probably have to explain it a few more times, but it's very difficult. We find it as Mantara Matt combination, find it very difficult to talk to everybody with words, because everybody has slightly different connotations on every single word, just about, other than a few simple ones like the. But every noun and every adverb and what adjective has connotations that influence the perception of what we're saying is a good way to move forward, or direction, right? It's a burden on my shoulders, the fact that people are taking a lot of what I say as directions on how to live, right? Basically what I'm trying to open up is a space where you can feel into what's going to serve you. So focusing more on purposeful, intentional, full, and meaningful, which all means happy to me, right? Because for me, I can't be happy if I'm not feeling purposeful. And so again, that does not mean emulating Mother Teresa, but being purposeful means that my beingness is creating an influence on this planet that makes a difference. So I don't need to do anything to be purposeful, because I've changed my perspective of what purposeful is. So I can choose to be purposeful in each and every action that I take, each and every breath that I take. And again, that doesn't let me off the hook from doing what I feel is important to do, but rather gives me the space to not get caught up in the burden of needing to do the do, but to be able to do what I feel to do from a space of expansiveness, that this is more of my purpose. This is a way of expressing my purpose. And I think we're all here to express our beingness on this planet through action as well as energetic radiation. Yeah, I'm not really astonished, Gary, by that, the level of fear expressed on the internet, because I know it's astonishing that people don't think the same way that we do. And when I say we, each of us individually, because you think differently to me, we all perceive the world in different ways. And I think that is one of the foundational steps to actually being, quote unquote, my version of happy on this planet, is when we understand that everyone is having their own experience through their own mentality and their own perception. And we don't get astonished anymore when people are behaving differently to us, because we understand that they are different to us. We are all very unique individual aspects of exactly the same energy. There's this dichotomy going on where we are all one, we're all very universal, and we are all completely sovereign and individual as well. And we all have our own history that's shaped our own perception and our own mentality. And when we understand that everyone thinks slightly differently, or some people think extremely differently to us, some people emote completely differently to us, some people perceive the world completely different to us, then we create a much more expansive space to be an allowance of how they're behaving. That doesn't mean we let them walk all over us. It doesn't mean we allow ourselves to be used as a doormat. Not at all. We still advocate for our life and our world and our experience by putting that out there to the world, but we create space and acceptance and allowance for each and every other person to have their own experience of it. Yeah, conspiracy theories are becoming more and more outlandish, and from what I've seen, Gary, there's probably truth in all of those outlandish conspiracy theories to a point. And that's the interesting thing about this experience, is that there is so many entangled truths in this, and all sorts of embellishments to it all as well, that no one knows anything, which is the perfect setup to get us all out of our minds, because we can no longer cognate what's the truth out there. It's impossible to cognate what's the truth out there. So in that impossibility to cognate, gives ourselves permission to stop trying. Stop trying to work out what the truth is and get into your heart and feel it, right? Feel your own truth coming from within you, rather than trying to make sense of the world out there, because it is becoming completely obvious, painfully obvious for some of us, that we cannot cognate the truth, and therefore we cannot make a good choice mentally about how we should respond or react to the current situation, because we simply do not have clear information from which to make a decision. We have to come back to intuitive knowing. We have to come back to our own peace within our own heart. And that is the blessing in this situation, where it is completely, well, she may be, for goodness sake, you know. They are very interesting people, the elite, right? And really, they are really very interesting beings. and none of us know what is really going on there. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to open a can of worms and put my own tin hat on and start talking about what might be going on with the Obamas or any other of these people who have somehow risen to notoriety and power on this planet. Yes, you should be getting increasingly detached from that drama, because that's exactly what's supposed to happen. You get detached enough from it that you can just sink into being in the moment in your heart. Okay, so I need to double click on this, which means it's going to start, potentially. No, it didn't start. Great. I haven't even got to read it, sorry, Luna, but I'll see where I get with that. I'm trying to scroll through these things to see what I missed that was going on. Okay, Leslie, yes, feeling powerless. We don't know what they're realizing, Luna, in terms of the dark beings. We just need to disconnect at all from what they're thinking or what their agenda is. We need to completely get out of there. Stop worrying about what Bill Gates is trying to do. Stop worrying about, all of it, because it's not helping. It doesn't help to worry about it. It doesn't even help to think about it, really. We will all get decisions to make when the decisions are there to be made. And I know your mind wants to gather as much information as possible to keep you safe, but it's not working. It can't work in this current situation. It's also very multidimensional, totally impossible to cognize, best to give up and go within. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Great. I don't think I've missed much else here. So I will go back to at least one of the questions that was, get off this live screen, back, written in beforehand. I'll read Yogeshwari's question. Hi, Matt. I'm deeply perplexed in knowing that many people of great darkness, this is probably just going to be the question that I've just answered. Many people living in great darkness are living with so much financial power in this world and using that to control and hurt so many. How is it possible for them to continue to thrive? Thrive is an interesting word to use there, in a worldly sense, while so many light workers and good people are suffering hardship due to finance. Also, were the dark forces strong enough to persecute those working for the light? Why were light, who had gone through so much hard initial sacrifice to work for the light? Okay, so I'll answer the last bit of the question first. So why were they strong enough? Why was the dark forces strong enough to persecute so many of us working for the light in the past? Because they had the rule of power based on the cycle that we were in the cosmos in. So we've just ridden through a dark age in yogic terms, Ayurvedic terms. We call it the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness. We go through a cycle as we rotate around the galaxy and the universe, and it's all moving. There are various cycles that happen of energetic preference, if you like. So I've just got my calendar telling me what's next. So we've just come... It is a never-ending rabbit hole, Sister Leslie. So we've just come through a very, very dark period on the planet, and we're still kind of in it. We are still in it, but we're on the rise out of it. There's still a lot more light to come in onto this planet, which is very, very exciting, because we're already, those of us who have been looking for the light are very much enjoying the light that we've currently got, albeit in amidst the chaos of darkness falling apart. But anyway, over the last few thousand years, darkness has really had a very strong grip on this planet, and thus the dark beings, the beings who align with darkness, have had the rule of power, because they've had the influence behind them. They've had the wind in their sails, so to speak. So we've kind of always been on the losing team, showing up as light beings to keep a glimmer of light on this planet while we've gone through these dark periods. And so we've knowingly come in knowing that we're on the back foot, we're on the losing team, and we've been persecuted, right? That's why they were strong enough, because they've had the energy behind them. The energy is now shifting. We're going through a time of flux. As the light is flooding in onto the planet, the dark agenda is losing the foundation, and thus their structures and their monopolies are being exposed by light coming in onto the planet, and much of it is crumbling as the sleepers on the planet awakening to make choice. So that's exciting. So the first bit, so I'm perplexed. So let go of trying to understand this and just trust we're going through a very turbulent time of change. They've amassed their financial power in the past. And so they still have this financial power, and to some degree they still have the funnel that is feeding their financial power, but that is in the process of falling apart, right? Because it cannot be sustained in this time. The energy that's coming onto the planet is, much more in alignment with divine feminine energies as opposed to shadow masculine energies. And so we're coming into an age of collaboration and cooperation and equability, if that's the right word. And so this misalignment of financial distribution is going to change somehow, some way. And we're not exactly sure, nothing is exactly sure how that is going to happen, right? And whether we continue to use this money thing that they've amassed anyway, and many of them are not even going to go there, right? It's not even that they've got dollars, they've just been given permission to write numbers down and hand them out as if it is dollars, right? Because they basically, bribed the governments of the day. Anywho, it's a messy history and a very interesting story if you want to get into it, but we don't want to get into it. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about the why the past has been the way it is. Now is the time to really align with, to get out of this confusion. I don't understand. Get into your heart, right? Because you're, as I was saying earlier, right now is the time to be confused mentally, so that mentally you can take your energy out of mental, because it's not working at the moment. It's too confusing to do anything mental right now. It's to come into your heart, come into your intuition, and to advocate, visualize what you are choosing for your future and for the future of our society. That's where our energy needs to be invested at the moment. Advocating for our future, aligning with our beingness and radiating it out into the world in an authentic, confident way, right? Not needing to fight with these shadow forces, and not needing to defeat them, and not needing to understand them, not needing to do any of that, right? We just wipe it away like it never was. That is truly the most effective way to move forward, is to forget about it. It's not that we let them, I know it's a fine line sometimes, and a lot of people are very, very keen to see justice for all this abuse that they've done, and really the abuse is horrific. And as I was saying earlier, I've been creating some MP3s to specifically help people to awaken to what's going on, to see it without losing their peace to it, because I feel that is one of the biggest issues that we're facing, that so many people will be unable to digest what the level of darkness that has actually been playing out, the level of atrocity that has been going on for centuries, but right up to now, and it's still going on right now. The level of atrocity that's happening on this planet is unspeakable for us, from our perspective. Yet from their perspective, different beings with a completely different makeup looking at us as if we're the atrocity. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to have to leave this for now, Sister Luna. But maybe next week I'll read it and see if I can give you a succinct answer in words typed. I have a very, very busy morning, so it won't be happening this morning. I've got quite a busy day. I've got to get my sales page finished and into Ian for my upcoming Telesummit appearance in a couple of weeks. So it's kept me burning the midnight oil, which is one of the reasons why I thought I'd just have a little nap this morning after my practice, which resulted in me getting up 2 minutes before this was due to start. Anyway, much love to you all, my friends. I will speak to you soon. I've got a call starting shortly, but look forward to serving you. Whatever you're going through, choose to stay relaxed and in acceptance, right? Hey, Donna. Yes, I'm really surprised by my fairly conscious colleagues who won't entertain. Yeah, that's exactly. And quote unquote realities, you have to understand that your colleagues are seeing it through their own filters, and we can't change that for them. We can't change that for them, and it's no point getting upset. And it's really important that we don't start questioning ourselves based on what other people are willing to accept or not, right? That's it. We have to trust ourselves at this stage. That's what we're all being called to do, and that's part of the blessing of the mess that we're in, that it's very, very hard to do anything but come back to yourself, anchor into your own heart, and trust. Hey, Sister Teresa. Goodbye, Sister Teresa. Much love to you all. Bye for now. Bye-bye.